Welcome to Stop Overthinking, the podcast for overthinkers, people pleasers, and perfectionists who want to feel calm and confident enough to handle whatever life sends your way. I'm your host, Kristen Odegaard, a women's life and mindset coach, lifelong educator, and recovering perfectionist. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. I have Joyce Ayers with us today as a guest. Joyce spent much of her life living other people's dreams, longing for the day when she found her thing that she could call her own and be known for. Even though she wore many hats over the years where she could use her skills and learn new ones, it was a passion of hers to search for her purpose in life. She spent many years evolving her old identity into the one that aligned with her passion and purpose as a soul-aligned coach. Welcome, Joyce.
Hey, thank you, Kristen, for having me as your guest. This is awesome. When I saw the title of your podcast, Stop Overthinking, I was like, I want to be on this one. I want to be a part of this.
Well, thank you. Yes, we are going to have a conversation today about finding your thing, helping to feel more aligned with your purpose, to feel more fulfilled. And we are also going to talk about some embodiment poses and NLP. So if any of those things resonate with you, or maybe you have never heard of them, tune in. Tell us a little bit more about what it actually looks like for you and what it is that you're doing now.
Well, it it began about 10 years ago. My thing was taking care of my family. I have three girls and ensuring that they had every experience possible to introduce them to choices and things that they would be interested in. We also had our own business, so I was involved with that to ensure it was running smoothly and to participate in the community. And so when all those things pretty much finished, or I was no longer needed in those roles, it's like, well, what do I do next? Like, what's my thing? Because my thing was somebody else's thing for so long. It's like my life, my actual life, and my interests got put on hold. I did things that I enjoyed. It wasn't like in my business or my whatever it was. So I went on a hunt for what that would be. It's like, well, what do I do with myself, right? What am I good at? I thought, oh, I really enjoy psychology. Maybe I'll, go back to school for that. It was like, at this time in my life, at my age, I'm not going to put my life on
Mhm.
hold for 10 years. So what can I do now? Like I was ready now at that time to get going with my life. So I stumbled across a coaching program. I found a soul coaching program. And that really resonated with me because I pretty much kept busy like my whole life every day that I never really stopped to just ponder life much. And so the soul coaching really helped me to turn inward. And that was the beginning of my journey to embodiment. And the language that I was using, was a real expression and revealed what was going on inside of me. I think one of your things is like we get caught up in our minds and our thoughts. And boy, I was really caught up in my mind and I didn't even know it. And so I wasn't consciously aware of it or unconsciously aware of it. It was
Mhm.
just doing it. So that's how my path came about and eventually went into NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming and hypnotherapy, because it all gets at the unconscious mind, which is about 95% of what's going on. It's only 5% that we're really conscious of and aware. And so we'll talk more later on about what all that means when it comes to stop overthinking. Because during those early years, I was doing a lot of overthinking of what do I do and how do I do it? I really got bogged down in, well, what if? What if I did this? Well, how do I do that? Instead of taking action, it's just I had to know how. I had to know where I was going and the answers instead of just picking something and having fun with it.
Well, and I think a lot of my listeners can also identify with the fact that you got caught up in life. And it wasn't even that it wasn't not enjoyable, right? You were raising your kids and doing your thing. But at some point, in terms of what really lights you up when you take the roles and the responsibilities out of that, like what really lights you up and what do you want to do and how do you feel fulfilled, that gets lost somewhere in that process, often for many women, because we're doing, going, being for so many things. So wherever listeners you are on your journey, I think you will be able to identify and resonate with some of these things here about finding that light back for you again, as well as the fact that we know that many of our listeners are just going, going, going because you are the fixer, you are the doer, you are doing the thinking for everybody in your family or at work or at home. So, Joyce, when you have clients that will come to you, that, and you said many of them are overthinking as well. What kinds of things do you do that helps your clients to stop the overthinking process?
Yeah, a lot of them are to be like in a similar situation that I was. Or maybe they're empty nester, or maybe they've been in the job for a number of years. They maybe gone from job to job or company to company, and wherever they are, they've arrived at a place that they realize that part of that chapter of their life, it may have been fulfilling and now it's complete, or they've been in a situation or an environment, a work environment for so long that, okay, I've done everything that I can and I've gotten credit for it. What's next? What do I do next that is more fulfilling? Or what's this next thing? Or maybe I've risen to the top of the ladder as much as I want to and could. And I was like, well, where do I go from here that I can use my gifts, my talents, and make a difference? We can stay in our heads and it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, what if I did this and what if I did that? And now we're like, well, if we go to the pros and the cons and we weigh this and we weigh that, and again, we're still in our head. And it's like, okay, well, if we're going to make a choice about the next 20 years from that place, it's for logic instead of tapping into this huge resource that's the unconscious part. And when we go there, it's like, okay, this is what I want to do. We start exploring possibilities that say maybe one day, right? And then we forget
Mhm.
about that one day dream. And it's like, okay, well, let's look back at that. And maybe it's something that's out of the box, right? It's well, that's that's just too different, right? So now I can't do that. So we inner critic shows up and say, well, I can't do that because, or that wouldn't work because. So we start looking at that language. Now, key part, we start looking at the language and the limitations that are in our thoughts and the programming. And even in the embodiment part, what does that feel like when you think about that dream? And I ask them to think about it because they don't even realize that they sit up taller and they get like the smile on their face and they're like almost bouncing in their seat. You don't even realize they're doing it. So I
Exactly.
mention to that. Do you notice how energized or energetic or happy you got when you were telling me about that?
So there's a couple of things I want to go back to before we go further. So, one, you had talked about that the 95% of our thinking is really subconscious, and as well as the NLP portion. How do you use those two concepts? But, like you said, getting people to start talking and thinking and bring up the subconscious while also taking a look at the language and how we talk to ourselves and how important that is. Where does that come into your practice?
Well, the language part is more for me because I'm listening for it.
Mhm.
Also looking at other aspects of whether they're auditory, visual, or kinesthetic. Because then when I'm talking to them about possibilities, I'll use references to those three areas. Because if someone is a visual person and it's like, I can see blah, 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 blah. But then I come back and it's like, well, how does that feel? Then it's almost like we pass each other. So it's a way of connecting with the person so that I come into their world and then it helps them drop in deeper as well. So I'm listening for those things, and then asking them to even imagine and then notice their body, like what are they doing in their bodies, or what are their bodies doing? What shifts are happening? So really tapping into that 95% to help them start to build awareness. What's happening in their physiology if I say, well, imagine staying in your job or not doing anything for another 5 years, then you can almost see the life drain out of them. I was like, notice that. So it's bringing an awareness to that 95%. And
Sure.
that's like where they're going to start finding the answers to what is it that's next for them. Forget about the hows, the how
Mhm.
to. It's like anytime we decide on something that is super important to us, or I'm going to do that. And then we'll just go and do it. And if we don't know how to do it, we'll find a way to do it. Like we are very resourceful. So getting to that place with just make a decision, start somewhere, pick something, just start. And it's okay. It's okay to um, be in those thoughts that come up along the way, and then just tuck them away, like just kind of shell them a little bit. Inner critic that wants to, well, you need to be really good at this if you're going to step into that. It's like I've never done it before. How can I be really good at it if I don't even try? There's lots of different aspects that we go into.
And I know with a lot of women that I talk with, and there was a period in my life as well that I had really no idea what I wanted. I was just kind of doing what I was supposed to do, whatever needed to get done. There wasn't a lot of time left in my life for imagination and dreaming. So when you start having this conversation, like how long does it take to get women to a place of, getting out of the logic and really into the the good stuff? Does it happen fairly quickly, or what kind of resistance do you see that comes up that prevents women from getting there?
Yeah, there's a lot of resistance because um, for most of us, like been doing something for so long that our identity is wrapped up in it. And when I say our identity, it's like what we're known for, um, how we've pleased other people to get what we needed to feel acknowledged, to feel valued. All those things are wrapped up in that identity. And we're asking ourselves to make a pretty significant identity shift. And so with the NLP and the embodiment and hypnotherapy, we look at what are those beliefs? What are those needs that you have that we look outside ourselves to be fulfilled, even to feel loved, to be accepted? Am I okay? We're not doing it consciously, but is what I'm doing and what I'm saying and who am I being, is it okay? Like, do you approve of me? Is this okay? Do you like me still? And so when those are dealt with at the deeper level with the tools that I take my clients through, then those restrictions and limitations are released. They let them go, and now there's new possibilities in order to create. There's a term away from and towards. It's like if we are creating our future from a belief, an identity, or whatnot from the past. Imagine the past is behind you, or maybe to your left, or somewhere else. And so our thoughts are locked into that. And then we're trying to create something new from that place. So it's that I don't know, like a pair of old shoes, right? Shoes have been around for a very long time. They're really comfortable. I'm really used to them. They're my go-to all the time. But I'm going to do a pilgrimage on the El Camino for the next month. I'm going to take those ratty old shoes on a pilgrimage of walking for the next month. No, like we're going to let them go. It's like, yeah, but they're my favorite shoes. And it's like, let them go and get another pair that fit just right. And they're comfortable right from the beginning because this is that new identity. It's like, okay, this is okay. I don't have to work them in, right?
I love that analogy, right? And the shoes that you need for this long pilgrimage are going to be a little bit different than what you had in the past, even because that wasn't what you were doing before. So it's okay to step into this new identity, the new shoes, and embrace that as you go forward. So great analogy. I love analogies too. It's so good to use them all the time.
Like the pilgrimage, maybe you have a final destination you're going to end at in 30 days with your life. But let's just start that pilgrimage, that journey, and see where it leads to. Yeah, have ideas, have goals, um, but be open at the same time. And I say, but we don't want to like only have one road that we're going to follow. Because if there's a closure, we want to be able to, okay, am I going to go right? Am I going to go left? Let's just choose where that road's going to take me. And a whole other place will present itself that we didn't see before possible. And so that's why I said, just start the journey. Because this was my thing. I had to get it right. I had to know what I was going to do, and I had to know where I was going and who I was going to serve and all the things. I needed that reassurance before taking the first step. And it spent quite a few years as I started my journey. I spent a number of years making sure I was getting it right. And
Mhm.
then I would take a little step and I'm like, well, I'll just get it. I'll just maybe try something else. And really there was just all this internal stuff going on. Uh, just start. People listening is like having someone that's got your back, that believes in you, a coach, maybe a good friend that you can say anything to, and they won't even blink an eye or be phased by anything you say. Those are rare, rare friends. That's why coaches are so good.
Right.
We hold that space for people to dream and dream the impossible. Nothing's outrageous. And oh, I screwed up royally in this way, and they're not seen as anything less than who they really are. Like we see their potential. We keep being that cheerleader for them. So like that's what I do with people that I work with.
And how does the NLP part, talk a little bit more about that? Because that's more a unique skill that you have, for example, that I don't. And so, what is that, and how does it get utilized when you're working with clients?
Yeah, the other part away from it towards is like once the person gets into a new belief about themselves with that new pair of shoes on, then it's like, okay, let's imagine you have already arrived at your next destination. And what does that look like, sound like, feel like? Really bring all the senses alive so that they can start living into that possibility. And again, there's some other NLP concepts, but that's the tours. It's like from this new place, this new identity, they can create the life, they can manifest the life that they maybe hadn't visualized before because it was too big to imagine. And I'm not saying like somebody go from, 0 to 100. It could be like, okay, hey, you're just starting out in this completely new field. Let's just get you to 20. Let's just take that first step. It's a little uncomfortable. It's very unfamiliar, maybe, but it's like, okay, there's this new belief and possibility. So take them to the 20%. And then from there, it's like, oh, okay, now let's take you to 40%. So you do it incrementally so that there isn't this radar, looking for dangers. Go back, get back, go get back, get back, quick, retreat. It's like no, just keep moving forward and towards the destination. That's what like manifestations. They're very powerful, and we're always manifesting. Well, we manifest everything. It's like you manifest the life you have right now from who you believe yourself to be. So when you have that new identity, you believe yourself to be a new possibility, and then you can start manifesting from that place. And then that's kind of where the magic happens.
How do you get from, because manifesting, like, that's dreams, right? And we talked about how our brain offers us all sorts of the critical thoughts. I don't know how to do that. How do you work with clients to believe the new things that they're stepping into so that they can manifest that to be able to quiet that inner critic as they are moving forward?
Yeah, there's a few techniques that I use that address specifically those beliefs. When we start at 0 to 6, there is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. It's just what is. We live in the moment as those little beings. And then somebody comes along and says, oh, you're such a good girl. You did a good job. And they're like, what does that mean? Because we don't know. We don't have a reference of what is a bad job. We just know that we're just doing something. And all of a sudden somebody comes along and makes a comment and they're like, okay, well, their tone of voice, their posture. Okay, that's a good thing. Not even that we know it's a good thing. It's like we feel something is good about it. It's like, okay. And then when somebody comes along and says, like you ate that cookie and you weren't supposed to say, I just wanted a cookie. I ate a cookie. You can get in some serious trouble for eating a cookie, or somebody can just comment on your body. Like, oh, if you eat too many cookies, you're gonna get fat. All this stuff that's programmed into us. And we just take it as fact. I don't know what fat is. Well, look at so and so, they're fat. And then, like, okay, well, this person looks like this person looks like that. Now we're starting to make judgments about things. I remember I was in the grocery store in line waiting for our turn, and there was a person in front of us that was a different size than we were. And I was looking at the person. I looked at my daughter, and I could see my daughter looking at her, and I was like, she's got some serious thinking going on. She said, "Mommy, why is that person so big?" And I'm like, "That no filters at
No
night."
filter, right.
So
Mhm.
we have all of this programming, and it's like from our culture, our communities, our education, families, generations, all that stuff is handed down. It is given to us like it's a blessing. It's like, no, thank you. And we carry that around. And then from there on, we find evidence that that's true. Don't necessarily know until somebody else comes along and says, no, that's not true. But then that's really what we were led to believe or taught to believe.
Mm.
It's like, well, then we'll argue the point. It's like, no, like, I'm right, you're wrong. And so we do that thing too. And there's like a they call a reticular activation system. So now we're almost like beacons, right? Beep, 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 beep. Where's the evidence? Like, look, see, that person um thinks this way about me because I think that way about me because I was told those things about me. So we need to like rid of that. And we just don't think that, right? And so we look at those specific things that have been specifically programmed into the person that says to them, if you do this, you're going to get rejected, or you're going to get criticized, or you're going to get judged, or you're going to disappoint others, or, you're going to, that person's not going to feel good about themselves if you do all these things, right? That I can't do that. I can't do this. And so we get rid of all that through the NLP and hypnotherapy and embodiment work, and then we just sort of erased all that stuff. We say, well, how can you just erase that? Dr. Joe Dispenza has some really great science on that. Gosh, there's just so many people out there. Bessel van der Kolk, the body keeps the score because like your emotions, your body is huge because everything that goes in creates a feeling, and that feeling or emotion is not really the feeling or emotion. It's the neurological chemical reaction that happens. The endorphins and all those parts of the brain that get those are activated. So then it installs a memory in the body. So that's what we want to get at is we want to take that memory and create a new meaning to it, giving a new meaning. It's like, well, mommy or daddy doesn't love me. And then we go through a process that not just talking about it, because actually talking about what they believe anchors it. That's
Mhm.
another step. It anchors it stronger and stronger and stronger. So what we want to do is take a new thought, a new belief, what perhaps they wanted and needed in the time, and then we focus on that, and then we anchor that. So again, because it's in the body, now you're anchoring that new chemical reaction that replaces the original one. It is as if whatever happened a long time ago is now rewritten.
Very cool. That our language really matters. Hypnotherapy, I think most people are familiar generally with hypnotherapy. When you work with clients, are you working in person or online with the hypnotherapy portions?
We're local and so working with my clients in person. And then so much is done online now. So it just makes it more feasible.
So you can do the hypnotherapy practice online with people then as well.
Because that works totally with the subconscious mind. And we can bypass the conscious mind because we set it up that way. So we kind of give the conscious mind something to think about. And now we can talk to the unconscious mind that's so open to suggestions. And so hypnotherapy is done in a way that's ethical and in integrity. There is a way of doing hypnotherapy where you actually are installing positive things again. So it's someone who's trained knows that language, knows the
Mhm.
language to use.
That's fascinating. And I was just confirming that so the hypnotherapy can be done online then as well.
I usually close. Most of the time Sundays are closed. So yeah, whether you wait here or in person, and same with the embodiment. I can see the person's body. I can see the posture. We're asking. They're providing some feedback. All those
Yeah.
things can totally be done in person or online.
And so the embodiment poses are the third part that you use as well. First, can you tell us what they are? What's an embodiment pose?
The embodiment pose, building awareness of ourselves, a deeper knowing, understanding, connection with what's going on in the deeper part of ourselves. So when we get into one of the poses, they're not they think for just twice of it, and they're what we call an archetype type of pose. They're based on some dance and martial arts and yoga and some other modalities. It's a combination to get into your body into a form or a position and then having suggestions. This pose represents this represents this. So now let's tap into what that is. Like one of the common yoga poses is warrior. Well, we're not looking at the physical posture. It's like, yeah, put your legs here, do your arms here. Now imagine yourself standing strong and solid like a warrior, unwavering with strong arms. You're protecting, you're invincible, you stand strong for and so there's all this type of language leading into it's like, well, what does that feel like? Is it something that feels familiar or not? So there's some typical questions to prompt the person. What is that feeling? And what are you doing in your body as you take on this state of a warrior? And then that's where the coaching comes in because there's a lot of different things that come up for the person because it's emotional, it's energetic, it's the mental, it's all those things. And that's like what they call the gateway into the body, into what the person is really experiencing. Because we can have a conversation. I can have conversations with someone about that. But when they actually feel it in their body and what their body is actually doing, you're just like, oh yeah, I stand really strong for everything I believe in. Okay, stand in that pose and tell me, say this and that to yourself as you stand in this warrior pose. Do you stand strong and tall or do you shrink? What is your body? Because it's not me telling them what they're doing, and they can't. They're not telling themselves what they're doing. They're watching their whole body actually react. Yeah, thought. Again, it's unchemical. Just spoke.
Yeah, and so we talked about this. This is an audio podcast. Joyce is going to walk us through some of the sitting poses, correct?
We have many of these poses can be done sitting. And it's just a variation of them. And then there's micro poses of them that I work with you. We go through those different variations of them. And so for today, I wanted to share the pose is called container. And container, think about those in your life that got your back, that believe in you, they encourage you, they're supportive. Like that best friend that you can tell them anything and they won't blink an eye of how outrageous you are or how much you screwed up. And just the container holding people like that in your life, the container of your powerful self, your true self is in this container. So think about the pose in that way. And that for the purposes of this audio, how your physical body would be. So imagine if you are sitting and you could be sitting, it's the same position, but it's all in the arms and the upper body. So you would either be sitting with your legs relaxed, or you could be standing and your legs would be about hip distance apart. And you just have like a softness in your legs, whether you're standing or sitting. You lengthen your spine nice and tall. And then you allow your tailbone to root down into your seat, into the earth. And then your heart, just imagine it kind of lifting, like it's lifting up and it's spinning right. Not cocky or pushed out, but just kind of lifting your heart up. Let's start with taking your arms out wide to the sides, like your fingers are reaching out wide to the side. And somebody's going to toss you a giant beach ball. And so on 3, 2, 1, you're going to catch the beach ball. 3, 2, 1, catch. Okay, now you're going to touch your fingers together. Now just slightly take your fingers away from each other, like about a cell phone distance apart. And then relax your thumbs and your fingers. So your fingers are pointing towards each other, not down, because they could be pointing down or up, but they're pointing towards each other. Now relax your shoulders because they might be up by your ears. Elbows raised up. So your elbows are dropping towards the ground. They're kind of lifting out to the sides. So as you look down at your beach ball and imagine it could be a beach ball and then all of your wonderful people are in the beach ball or they're just in this circle. in front of you. So there's this person there and this other person. It could be a family member. It could be someone from long ago that said one thing to you that just really touched your heart. It felt like they touched your soul. So it doesn't be anyone in your immediate life right now. It could be someone from a while ago that when you think of them, just, they really got me. They really got me. This person really understands me. So also think of this container place where you can create. All your ideas are here. Um, all of your dreams are here. Every possibility that even unimagined is here. And people are saying, yeah, yeah, that's your dream. I gotcha. I'll walk with you. It could be an intention that you have. It's something that you're starting to manifest from this new identity. It could be this new identity, and it could be your old identity here. The old identity is thank you for all the experiences you've had, what you felt, and who was there to help you grow and to discover a part of yourself that you didn't know as that old identity. And then this new identity that's powerful, that's creative, that's maybe playful, because you know that when we're too serious, tricks around don't let you have any fun. It's supposed to be like your playground.
So how long are you holding this pose?
About a minute.
Okay. So my shoulders are getting tired.
One of the things is like if your shoulders getting tired, your arms getting tired, maybe it's like, is this familiar? Is this having these people in your life familiar? Imagine these people, even though they're in the circle, they're actually holding your arms up. So you can have these people in that circle. Now, the other part of this is if you flip your palms out, like from you. Now, this is a no to those people that want to steal your energy, that want to tell you, no, you can't do that. Those hawks, the
Yeah,
hawks
the naysayers and the energy vampires.
have, when you turn your palms facing out, it's like you keep them out. So rather than closing your fingers, you just flip the palms and it's like keep out. And then you turn the palms back in so they're facing you and the fingers are facing. So anytime you need to let go, yeah. And then anytime that you just like, life just seems fill in the blank, that you're not moving forward, just even imagine that you're holding your arms up, depending on where you are, what you're doing. You can just imagine. Or the micro pose, that you can have your hands in your lap and you just bring your finger, it's almost like you're going to clasp your fingers together, like a but you just hold them in that same position under a table or just in your lap. And that can be micro pose. And then also is this longed for? It's a longed for to have these people in your life. Is this something that's familiar? That you already have some people. In NLP, we call them the crowds, the ones that we don't want in there. Because they just want to pull you back down in the bucket under the water. Come here and drown with me.
So the idea of the embodiment pose is to physiologically be able to feel what it is that you are seeking more of in your life, as well as
You need more people in your life to support you. You need less people in your life that don't. And do you need boundaries? Boundaries do you need for yourself? And then notice how your body responds. Like if you're not sure, well, I don't know. It's like anytime you step up a little taller, we feel a little happier, brighter. That could be your yes. Yes, it gets. This is a good thing. And anytime our eyes kind of get narrow and you start slouching and we feel like our whole world is kind of slowly starting to like darkness is starting to come, we know that's a no.
yes.
So you can find what your yes is and your no by asking yourself questions. Do I like this? Okay. And then you can kind of feel your body react. Do I like this? And your body's like,
Your shoulders rounded and you hunch forward, right? It feels heavy.
well, yes, I do like that, but your body will tell you. There's muscle testing.
Yes.
It's like there's an actual form that somebody actual muscle tests you. To do muscle testing on yourself, it's just listening to your body by noticing how it's responding. if somebody asked you, hey, do you want to go to lunch? And you're like, sure, that people pleaser, right?
Mhm.
They'd ask me, I have to go. And then you already know it's, you're just dreading it, right?
Mhm.
That's your body telling you no. And you already know you don't want to do it. But if you really are uncertain, you don't have to know why. You just need to know that your body's saying no. So you can, oh, I'd like to, but it's now's not a good time. And you don't have to know why, and you don't have to make any excuse or reason. As the person may ask, and then it's like, why is the person asking not honoring you?
I
Exactly.
know. Right. And a whole other process of being able to be okay with feeling slightly uncomfortable when you're asserting boundaries. Really have enjoyed talking about your process and the different modalities that you use to help um, your clients find the fulfillment, the passion, the purpose of going forward. I work more with the logical mind, a little bit into the subconscious, but I find it fascinating where you're delving deeper and then having these different modalities to be able to help people and again finding that within your body as well with that mind body connection. It's just really fascinating. If somebody wants to work with you, where can they find more about you or follow you?
Yeah. They can reach me. Probably the easiest and simplest direct way is to go to the website. My website is soul-genius.com.
Okay, and I will link that in the show notes as well. So,
And then book a free call with me and
yeah.
just, hey, what are your dreams? What do
Mhm.
you want? What's next? What's holding you back? And what do you need? And what's your life going to look like on the other side of having what you want? Like that was
Yes,
so
yes.
to get things going. And, I would apply all of these things that we talked about, obviously
Mhm,
customizing it to each person and just get you where you want to go.
mhm. What does that look like in terms of a time commitment that people are working with you?
Because one of the amazing things is how fast it is. Because we're not tapping only into the mind, we're tapping into that deeper part that can be reprogrammed, rewired very quickly at
Mhm.
a conscious level. So I do a breakthrough process with people. And then from there, we have a 3 month period of time together working through whatever else comes up on the journey that made us overcome.
Getting to a new habit or way of thinking is part of the process, but then it's the sustaining with all of the other stuff that comes at you and the other people that come at you day to day. So, yes, they have a breakthrough and then,
Part of it. It's really not magic. There's all kinds of science behind it. When we heal the parts of ourselves that need healing, and then we have a new frame of reference, and then we can go forward with that new mindset. It's not like we had to tell ourselves every day the same things. We've gotten at a deeper part that can actually rewire it, and so then it's like following through, and then the other things that come up along the way. 'Cause I could just say, "Here, set you free," and then again, those people in their lives that know them as they were. It's like, what do you mean you don't think like that anymore? What do you mean you don't feel that way?
you're able to support that process as they go on the journeys. Well, thank you so much, Joyce. We are at the end of our time today. And listeners, I hope that you found this helpful and you can go back and listen to the embodiment pose and try it on your own if you need to, if you're driving or doing whatever. So take an opportunity to do that and follow the link in the show notes if you want to learn more about Joyce. And for myself, overthinking listeners, I will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Stop Overthinking podcast with Kristen Odegaard. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone else who would benefit from the message. To learn more about working with me and links to social media and free resources, head over to my website, coachwithkristen.com. That's Kristen spelled Kristen. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. Have a great week.